When I say no victim left behind, that means me too. Do none of you get that? This channel is because I have no voice. This channel is me reaching out to you for a voice. A voice for the voiceless. So this lady who's my advocate, she's doing things that are very wishy-washy. It's frustrating. So I made a video where I tried to explain the roadblocks the best that I could. And I sent her the video. That's because speaking on my YouTube channel is the only format that I have where I can speak and not be interrupted. It's unfortunate that I'm stuck in public having a communication issue because I'm scared shitless. Just like the situation in a subservient environment when somebody keeps talking over me. Keeps trying to not understand the situation by talking over me and by confusing the situation. A lot of the things that I reference in there are things that have been done, each of them, by dozens of people. It's because these are the mistakes that people make. This is the way that they treat the victim, and this is literally not the way you're supposed to treat the victim. You're supposed to listen to them uninterrupted and help them to turn it in. If they're telling you that a crime has been committed against them, that they need to turn in, you need to listen. They're not there for advice, all right? That's not what they're coming to you for. If they wanted advice, they'd ask you for advice. If they're telling you their story, and they're telling you they're trying to turn it in, there is an intent to them telling you the story. It won't take long. Unless you argue with them, then it'll take longer. And then you don't have time, you don't have time, you don't have time. So you're busy telling them you don't have time while you're making time. I'm not going to get into a text war. That will frustrate me and I will blow my head off while in the process of it. Because no matter what, people use text messaging as a double-edged sword intentionally. I have thousands of examples of this recorded. Or they will ask you a question that could be interpreted in many ways, and in the context that they're sending it, in that context, there's a very particular way that it is pointed. So because it is very specifically pointed in that direction with context, it needs to be paid attention to. I sent her the video, and she types to me one of these double-edged swords. She types to me, does any of this have to do with me, and if so, which parts? So now she is trying to force me to engage in texting. Well, that's not a good idea for me. I'll come to YouTube and I'll speak here. I will speak here where people can't pretend I didn't say it, where they can't pretend that I didn't try. At least here, I won't be talked over. At least here, although there's a lot of trolls who do stuff like this, I don't have a police officer who's stopping me, interrupting me all the time to tell me things like, are you sure you didn't maybe ask for it a little bit? Are you sure you didn't maybe lead him on a little bit? That maybe you might have wanted to be? No, nobody wants to be raped. Nobody wants to be fucking beaten on. Sure, there are people who have really sick fucking twisted fetishes. I understand there are exceptions to the rule. You don't have to be an asshole. You understand the dynamic. You get what I'm saying. You're going out of your way to fucking argue. Well, how do you know he didn't mean it? Like, shut the fuck up and listen to the goddamn video. But I can't say that because it's being rude. When I'm interrupted over and over, that's not being rude. But when I literally have to do the same thing to them to try to get heard, and they throw a fucking tantrum at me, I've been patient and listening. Meanwhile, you're not trying to get help from me. You don't need my help. You've told me that repeatedly. So why are you telling me? Are you just venting to me? Then can you vent to me and we can set aside a time for you to vent to me instead of we set up a time where I'm believing that we're going to work together and you're going to try to understand. You say that you believe me. Well, if you believe me, then why are you arguing? Now, this double-edged sword that she typed to me. Is any of this about me? And if so, which parts? Well, listen to it. I typed to her, I'm not going to buy a double-edged sword. That sounds like a really bad idea. I'm not a sword swallower. The swords you swallow aren't edged. They're not. I have no teeth, so that would probably hurt a lot too. Kind of like I'm not going to bite that hook. That's bait. That's something that you can take out of all sorts of fucking ways, out of context. The other thing is, she said she wouldn't make it about me, or wouldn't make it about her because she has a support network. And she does that a lot. She does make it about her, about things that she can't do and why. And that's the thing, is that, well, that doesn't matter. What does matter is that if I tell the police officers or any of these places that I call, yeah, this lady is telling me that she's going to be my advocate, but she can't because she's got an issue with her brain. She's got PTSD of her own. She's got issues at housing where she can't allow me to stay there for too long. These are all issues that actually exist. They actually exist. So I'm not pretending that they don't. I'm not trying to pretend that this is something that she made up in her head, although I haven't seen any proof that she went to the hospital. That's the thing, is that, well, I didn't go to the hospital with you, so I have no proof of it. I don't know if you went to the hospital. I recorded it. My hospital visits, anyway. So, being physically assaulted at the hospital here in Tillamook and having it recorded on my own, you know, that's the situation with Zaid Atkinson. With him, his friend recorded it. And he was in a house, so people cared. With Sammy Leon Lawrence IV, he recorded it himself, but he was able to record it live. People gave a shit. He had help turning it in. I didn't. I was the first one of the people that Darren O'Connor was in contact with about the assaults by Waylon Lolotai. I was the one who got him interested, got him looking, and got him involved. I'm the one who let him know who all the victims were. All of them. All the victims he knew about other than me, he got that information from me. Because I let him know pretty much immediately. Or he got it from the news. A lot of people sent me to Darren O'Connor. The thing is, I'd known Darren O'Connor since he was there with Occupy Boulder. What a fucking joke. Over a decade ago. I think that was what, 2007? That's how long I've known Darren O'Connor. That's how long he's been talking about getting video stuff and recording it for the homeless. That's how long he's been riding on the homeless thing, and homeless people have been supporting him through all this. This is what a lot of all you don't understand, is that homeless people were contributing to Darren O'Connor, helping him, Darren O'Connor, because he was going to be some champion for the homeless. And you guys get to see all these folks telling me to go to Darren O'Connor after. See, I went to Darren O'Connor with this information, and he was going to help me. He helped these other people the way that he was not helping me, the way that he was gonna, but didn't. He gave it to Tony Kovaleski, and he played that thing on there. Tony Kovaleski. I'm like, shit, that's all about Waylon Lolotai. And these are all people he assaulted after he assaulted me. How did these people get the body cameras? How come I'm being told it'll take an act of God? All I need is one person to look at the cameras, their body cameras, the cameras at the sheriff's department, and the cameras at or the telephone calls, as well as the stuff that I got from the hospital. It shows that the officers knowingly, willingly, and intentionally broke the law, threatened, harassed, and intimidated a victim. And they just kept doing it. They got away with it the first time, realized none of my fucking friends or family actually cared. And that's all it took. All of my friends and family showing they didn't care. They were all going to look the other way. They were going to wait to see what happened. Bitch, you're a fucking witness. I could be sitting in prison today if I had not recorded the situations and posted on Facebook about the situation with Natalie Bollinger and her friends and family. A double-edged sword. So she typed back to me, what's that supposed to mean? Another double-edged sword. Anything that I type is likely to be reinterpreted into something that it's not. Don't make me type it. You will grossly reinterpret it. When you ask a whole bunch of questions in typing, and I am frustrated, eventually I'm just going to type the word no. No more questions. Stop rapid firing shit at me. Stop messaging me 5 messages in a fucking row. All of them questions, each one of them containing multiple questions. I can't answer them all. You are going too fucking fast for me. It's a double-edged sword, and I'm not going to fucking bite. Now, although it's a bad idea when somebody's doing that to call them up and try to explain it like a person, especially when it's somebody that's going to likely interrupt you. Like, hey, I wouldn't have to repeat myself if you weren't taking it seriously. I'm taking something very serious. I'm trying to present it to you as a very serious situation. And you're not taking it seriously until I literally scream at the fucking top of my lungs and post conversations with you on fucking Facebook and YouTube. You can tell in there where I'm getting frustrated. You won't listen. You won't look at evidence. You tell me to send it to you. I send it to you. I send a bunch of it to you. Then you tell me to send it in a different format. I explain there's only so much I can do from my phone, in my car, or in subservient places. When I'm in a subservient environment, I have to be fucking quiet. Now there's this lady who's got control of all of my things over at her place. And I have to be afraid that if I'm honest, I'll lose all my things. Including the evidence that these officers didn't do their fucking jobs. And they got people fucking killed. They got fucking kids abused. I made call after call after call. By the way, the evidence shows I told the truth about those people too. All of these child abusers have histories of child abuse. I don't.